If you pick John Jones to have more takedowns than eye pokes, come forward and collect your prize. This is Clicking Balls. Okay, episode 6 of Clicking Balls, and we've just seen UFC 182.
Yeah, 182.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm Heath, this is Brenton with me. How do you feel about the card?
I thought over the whole, the card, the anticipation was only for John Jones and Cormier, so I wasn't really hardly anticipating the rest of the card, except for Hector Lombard, so I would say it lived up to my expectations, being pretty crap.
Yeah, it's a bit weird being the first card of the year. So much hype around the main event. I can't remember a fight this big since probably Silver Sonnen 2, or maybe Silver and Weidman 2.
Yeah, Silver Weidman 2, Silver Sonnen 2 were the other ones that ring a bell. And I mean, yeah, and especially with like out-and-out rivalries, these days it's almost cliche to hype up a fight by making up some bullshit to be pissed off about. And even nowadays, the fighters are open about the bullshit they'll spill before a fight to hype it up. So you don't really believe a lot of it, but this is genuine dislike for each other.
Yeah, so we'll start at the top. Try that again. Start at the top then.
Yep.
Jones, Cormier. I think we scored it the same as the judges.
Yeah, well, the two sensible judges. Someone scored Cormier winning round 3 and Jones winning round 2, which, I mean, you can make a case for
Jones winning round 2, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, hang on. What round was it? Yeah, I can't remember. One of them was clearly a DC round, and one judge scored it for Jones and gave DC the round that probably should have been Jones's, but whatever, they got it right in the end. So.
Yeah, it's a weird fight. I mean, it felt like it was good at the time, but when you go back at it and you go, all right, Jones clearly controlled the fight. What did he win with? Control. It was
control, but it was just putting up with his intensity, and I think it was just that intense non-stop inside dirty boxing for the first 3 rounds, and you could see that they really took it out both of them. And I remember in the 5th round, DC finally got a takedown, and he put everything into it.
It looked like it was a takedown to say, at least I got one.
Yeah, because after that, and he's Jones straight back up, you could just see on DC, he's like, that's all I got. That's it.
Yeah, he looked spent from, I'd say, end of 2.
Yeah, it's still, it seems like he just ran out of gas. He couldn't keep that intensity for long enough, and really frustrated by the takedowns. A lot of times where he had proper positioning, but just couldn't grab a leg because John Jones is so long.
So long, yeah. And even when he did, he just sprawled back. And I thought there was a lot of times they're up against the cage, and I thought Cormier might be able to work around to get off the cage, and Jones just wouldn't let him.
Just kept him there.
So but he never looked in trouble though.
No, and I think for me watching the match, one of the things that was sort of detrimental to me was not understanding enough about wrestling and to do with positioning and things like that, because it did seem there was a very wrestling intense match, and it seems that was because John Jones wanted to dictate that to Cormier. He wanted to make sure that he was could out wrestle the wrestler, especially
early going. We were expecting Jones to stay on the outside and use his reach. He did for a little bit, but especially rounds 1, 2, and it wasn't until round 3 that he started to really find a distance.
Yeah, it wasn't until sort of Cormier's intensity had sort of toned down a bit, and he'd taken a few shots here and there, and just the general slipperiness of going through those sorts of fights. And by the 4th and 5th round, it's not so much your out-and-out strength or technique, it's just about heart, and it's about who's been in the situation before. And you got to remember that Cormier's just got down from the heavyweights, and he had a lot of trouble cutting weight before. I'm not saying that he had a hard cut, but you're fighting one of the best in the world, if not the best, and so it's going to be a struggle no matter what.
Right now, the best in the world, no doubt. Yeah, it's a very weird fight, because, like I said, even at the end of it, I'm like, did you at any stage feel like one of them was in danger?
No, I don't think. And that's why it's tough for these fights where, like, clearly for a mixed martial arts fight, John Jones won it, but no one won that fight. There was someone won a match.
Yes,
someone didn't win a fight.
Nobody won the fight. It was a match. Right before the bout, I said that I was already looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah.
You reckon there will be?
Yeah, I reckon there will be. Mainly because John Jones is going to run out of people to fight pretty quick.
Well, I mean, they said in the post-match that, obviously the winner of Anthony Johnson and Gustafsson is going to be John Jones' next opponent. But they're running out of ideas.
Yeah, I think the best thing to happen would be actually Rumble winning that fight so that he can fight John Jones, because I think Gustafsson and John Jones are always going to have a rematch just because of how close their fight was.
Regardless.
Whereas if Rumble Johnson loses, then he's not going to get a title fight.
Not going to get it. Yeah. And I think John Jones would run right over him.
Yeah, so do I. I think we've seen John Jones take on those sort of people, and I think probably better people than Johnson in the same sort of fighting styles.
Yeah, so it was a weird main event. But I've got to say, I don't think it lived up to the hype.
No, I don't think it did. But I think it was just that much of a tough grind for both fighters that what we were anticipating to happen just wasn't possible.
Yeah, the grind is the best way. I know that's DC's mantra going into it, and John Jones took it. Calls himself the king of the grind after the fight. So, that's to the victor goes the spoils.
And the good thing about and because there's always the sort of fight in between John Jones and Cormier, where Cormier is calling him fake. And the thing is, I kind of see where he's coming from, because he does say things with the intention of putting on a good front or whatever. But I loved after the fight, he was just like, I really don't like this guy. I'm sorry for being classist. And it's like, that's the John Jones that people want to see. It's all right to be pissed off, and it's all right to say things that you don't necessarily mean, but own it. Own up to it. And say, I was pissed off. So what? I fucking punch people in the face for a living.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm allowed to do the wrong shit every now and then.
I thought he was really good in the post-match as well, where the obvious questions coming up about are you best in the world, and he has that touch of arrogance which you need to have to be at that level.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's saying it's GSP and Silver. That's where I want to be one day. And he's going to get there.
Yeah, and that's why I think he might have posted it. John Jones might have posted as well, where he's saying that his resume sort of speaks for itself, and he's right in that fact. But when you look at Anderson, I mean, he fought whoever they put in front of him, and you can't say that if Anderson hadn't fought the same competitors, that he wouldn't have done just as good a job. So that's where that comparison sort of falls.
Well, Anderson got to the point where they were looking upper division just to find somebody for him to fight, and he embarrassed Forrest Griffin, and he embarrassed Bonner. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah. So maybe that is just what's next.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that it seems that Anderson's at the point where the fight's going to happen after Diaz, or it's not going to happen at all, because John Jones is only going to get better and better and better, and Anderson's sort of looking for those big fights where he's got to do it now, otherwise he's probably going to get slapped.
Well, yeah. So Silva, let's assume he beats Diaz. Is Jones good enough, or is he waiting for GSP?
I think Jones might be a bit too tied up with looking up towards heavyweight. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether he'd want to do the 205 against Anderson as just a show fight, not for a belt. Yeah, it would have to be a catch weight or something like that. So I know Anderson is interested in fighting for the belt, because I don't think he's really interested in... Does he give a shit? Yeah, exactly. He's more into payday fights sort of thing, which I want to see him fight. But, a headline of Silva versus Jones, it's going to sell. Yeah. No matter where. I mean, same with GSP versus Silva. Yeah. So where does DC go from here? Well, that's the tough one, because he can't go up to heavyweight, and I mean, he's already fought Jones. But that being said, he's still pretty new into the 205 division, so he's still got a little bit of clearing out that he can do personally before he sort of figured out his next move, or whether he's going to fight Jones again, or... Well, I think he's sort of stuck. Maybe he looks to the loser of Gustafsson and Rumble. Yeah. And as one or two more fights, and then see where the championship's at, and if he wants to have another go, go for the rematch. Personally, I even though I wasn't impressed with this fight, it wasn't something that I think we'll forget it by the this time next week. Yeah. I think they can put on a better show. As a rematch. So yeah, I think so as well. I think now we'll start. I think we didn't see John Jones really get loose in that fight. No, which was kind of scary, because I mean, I think he was generally considered DC one of the toughest fighters he's fought so far, like anticipating that he would be. Well, so you kind of be a bit more sort of tight, a bit more, conservative in regards to sticking to your game plan and things like that. But what the scary thing is that looking through DC's resume and looking at the legendary heavyweights that he's fought and beaten, and you think, geez, well, that's I think I tweeted it looks pretty scary for the heavyweights when Jones decides he's going to go up there and have a crack because
go down to a division and not do
exactly much. I mean, look at who did he beat? He was a substitute for the Strikeforce heavyweight championship tournament.
Yeah, he threw Josh Barnett around.
That's right. And then he beat Verdum, and there was someone else I think in there he beat. I can't remember, but they're no cans, and he was a nobody then.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, there's some of the legends of the sport. And in that same tournament, that was when Verdum beat Fedor as well. And so you're looking at a fairly stacked heavyweight tournament there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much else that there was really going around in the heavyweights at that time.
Yeah, I can't see him going back to heavyweight. Not yet.
No.
But, this is obviously not an easy cut for him. And what is he, 36, 35, something like that. So, he's got a few good years left. It's his first loss. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes it and what he comes back with.
Yeah. And, it was actually good to see while the fight was happening, they were actually good sports. They were very professional.
There's no problem with it.
Yeah, there was no... And they were there, like, they wanted to make sure they were the best on merit, and that's it. There wasn't any... Yeah. Even when, like, Jones poked him in the eye, and, I mean, you got to expect that in a Jones fight. But he touched gloves, and that's all you expect from the fighters.
Yeah, and even Herb didn't step in and stop it straight away with the eye poke. Yeah. DC stepped back and said, "Hang on, I got one here," and they were like, "Yeah, fair enough." It was there,
and they're back onto it.
You see it on the replay, and it looked like it was the only time that the eye poke was an issue.
Yeah, but one thing I did find funny was at the start of the fight when Herb Dean's given the shake hands, and
I know what you're going to say. Yeah,
2 security guards holding back DC,
an extra couple in there.
Yeah,
I mean, guys, they're about to fight for real. What?
Yeah. You're there, you're trying to, like, if John Jones wanted to punch DC at that point, there's fuck all those cunts going to do. These guys he's the best fighter in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's fighting arguably one of the top 5, top 10 best fighters in the world. Now we'll chuck old Burly Bill in there and see if we can hold him back and make it look all professional.
Oh, you got to wave to the family on TV?
Yeah, well, that's true. And I was thinking, like, between everyone in the ring, they're the least people. They've probably got the least amount of training and fighting out of everyone. Those 2 security guards in their big purple jackets.
I don't know. Casino security guards, they get a fair bit in. They train every day.
Yeah, true. That's it. You got to knuckle someone in the car park.
You're looking after championship belts or stacks of chips. Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, because I always had the same sort of queries about the ones that escort the fighters down the race when they're coming to the cage.
Who are you going to stop?
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, they're going to punch up some bloke in a tap-out T-shirt in the crowd.
Yeah, well, that's true. I don't know. Well, I guess when in that zone, I've never, been in an MMA fight myself, so I can't really talk about the anticipation, but I would think you're on sort of a knife's edge on someone does something wrong, you try to punch them in the face.
Could happen.
I think it couldn't be like, wouldn't take much to set you off and go, sweet, this is it. Knock him out.
I'm hoping it's at that level. It's sort of a little more professional than that. But you've seen plenty of guys, go and walk into the ring, get their hat nicked or their beanie nicked or something like that.
Get it back.
I bet there's a few of them that wouldn't mind, just throw a little sneaky one in.
Well, actually, who was it? Tim Sylvia in Pride when the person who was fighting, they go and touch gloves when the referee was there and gave him a kiss on the cheek, a kiss on the lips. And he knocked him out cold.
I don't think it was Tim Sylvia, but it definitely did happen.
Some of that was like one of the, when you first got into MMA, it was one of the first gifts that was going around.
Yeah. I remember there was a fight, and God, I can even see the guy. He got heaps of tattoos on him. It was in a boxing ring, and I think it was in Holland or something. And the ref warned him for stalling, and he knocked out the ref.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that one.
Remember the other opponent, the guy who was winning the fight, was the only one who could really stop this guy. Yeah. And he's gone, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
He's just stepped over the ropes and walked away.
Thank you very much.
And that was the end of his career.
Yeah. And speaking of that, apparently, I was reading line, Tim Sylvia officially retired.
Yeah, I've got that down. We're going to talk about that, but... we'll
get on the card first.
And then... Yeah, go through the card. So, I think that's about it for the main event. I mean, it got fight of the night, which I think says more about the rest of the card than really about that main event.
Yeah. Fight of the night, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough.
So, co-main event, Donald Cerrone versus the undefeated Miles Jury, who is now defeated.
Yeah, and... It was interesting hearing the back story behind that fight in the pre-fight sort of build-up where they were saying that Miles beat one of Donald's training partners, and on the post-fight, post-fight interview with Joe Rogan or whoever was doing it at that point, he was saying, I just whooped that guy pretty easy, actually. That was probably the easiest work I've done. And Donald went, you know what, fuck it. I don't care who's above me. Yeah, I'll just beat this dude first.
Yeah, pick somebody below him on the rankings. But, he's a fighter who wants to fight. Yeah. And it was, to me, performance of the night.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought, it was close. I thought him and I think Paul Felder definitely deserved it. But Donald Cerrone, I thought he deserved to get paid something, which I'm sure he would have backstage.
I'm sure he might have got one of the locker room bonuses and those kind of things.
And I was saying that's 6 straight for Cerrone, which is kind of
something like
crazy. That in any other sort of division that earns you a title shot, but in that division, it's too much going on in the moment.
There's a lot.
There's not a whole lot you can do.
But like you're saying, he's a fighter and he wants to fight, so he didn't take any damage.
And he rarely does too. He rarely takes much damage in fights.
He'll be back in a couple of months looking for another one. Hopefully somebody ranked higher than him.
Yeah.
The first round of that fight, he was taken down and then
he got
so active off his back.
Yeah.
Got to the back, locked in the body triangle. Yeah. Rogan was calling it well, telling him what Jury was trying to do. And Cerrone was just... It was
switched the body triangle and...
It was really good to watch, even though he was limiting his options and couldn't quite get the finish there. But it was... I thought it was a 10-8 round, really. Yeah. But because Jury defended so well, that's the only reason I saw it as 10-9.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, he just controlled it enough.
Yeah. And I remember they saying on the broadcast that they're not even sure if Cerrone's belted in jiu-jitsu. If he actually trains at one place often enough to get a belt.
Yeah,
he just trains mixed martial arts and he's
Don't
got
know if it
really good
matters.
jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that's it.
Obviously, he's shown that.
It doesn't matter.
It was great.
But it's kind of funny that we're getting to that era of fighters where you haven't trained one martial art, just consistently had one little school that you stayed at to actually get graded. You go there and you train.
You're now a mixed martial artist.
Yeah, exactly.
I know there's been some people that have tried to put a belt system into mixed martial arts, and I think even Greg Jackson was one of them.
Yeah, he was
at some stage. I don't know if he's still doing it or not.
Yeah. I think they've got a belt system. It's called the rankings.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
At the end of the day, that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, if you're number one, put whatever fucking belt on you want. Who gives a shit?
Piano key belt comes back out.
Put on all that, but I mean, there's one belt that matters, and that's bright fucking gold.
And the other highlight out of that match was right at the end, the soccer kicks.
Yeah,
to Jury when he was down. Jeez, he was winding those up.
And that's what I was saying on the broadcast, where he's not even trying to hide it. He was like full on sideways and just torqued it and wrenched it.
You say there is telegraphing a kick, and then there's telegraphing it. And he told him, that kick started in the second rope before it got to him. I don't know why we don't see more of it.
Exactly.
Someone wants to lay down on their back, just start kicking.
Yeah, and that's why I remember they talked about it before. I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it before. Well, I converse to that when you're actually on your back, using kicking as a more attacking weapon, like Enson Inoue used to do.
Yeah,
in Pride.
And you don't have to go for the big up kick to the head. You can, still kick leg kicks. Actually, I reckon in the last couple of months we've seen leg kicks used more effectively than in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, so a lot of people have been chopped up.
Even down on this card as well. The previous fight to that one
with
Nate Marquardt.
And
Tavares. His legs didn't look too good.
Yeah.
And in the previous card, Nate Diaz, I reckon, cops some beauty from Los Angeles.
He got chopped up real good.
Yeah, so there's been some, leg kicks are back in fashion, which is good. If you're going to have the whole gambit of strikes available to you, it's good to see that they're being used.
Yeah, and especially where they've got much more better at using leg kicks as just flick out leg kicks, almost like a jab.
Yep.
Where you don't need the power, you just need technique.
Yep.
Your technique will be good enough, and you can throw them quick and fast, and just like a little spacer, more or less.
Yeah, I'm going back to was it Rockhold and Bisping?
Yeah,
in the last fight, the little almost flick jabs to the chin. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah,
because even if they don't land, you're just interrupting their rhythm, and you're making them think about how they're going to attack it.
Yeah. You got all those weapons. It's no point having them in your arsenal if you're not going to use them.
Yeah, because even when Jury was standing up, you could see Cerrone just attacking. It was almost like he was getting that much sort of angle on it that the back of his thigh was bruised, had a big welt on it. That's how far he was getting around, how much he was torquing those kicks.
Yeah, no, it was. I thought it wasn't fight of the night, and obviously it went to decision, so he's not going to get anything there. But to me, it was the most complete performance.
Plus, it was lucky he got a decision as well. I think he almost got the rear naked or almost an armbar in the end of the first round.
Definitely the rear naked. Yeah. They were tossing around.
Pretty sure right before the bell with 10 seconds to go, that's when he went for the armbar, but it was just too late. To pull it out.
I don't know if he was really going to get a finish with that armbar. At any stage, but dominated that first round.
And before that, as you mentioned, was Tavares and Marquardt.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad performance from Tavares.
Yeah,
I thought
it was a bit of a non-event, really.
Crowd, I felt the same as the crowd.
Yeah,
I just a little bit. Yeah, okay.
I just felt you got two guys who, Marquardt's been around for ages. I'm pretty sure he fought Silver for the title, didn't he? At some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He went really good against Silver, I think.
Like the Ultimate Fighter 2 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And you got Tavares, so I think he was an Ultimate Fighter as well, wasn't he? Who are fighting? You would think they're in a situation where they're fighting for careers and contracts, and because you're in no man's land, you're not getting better. You're not gonna in a position to fight for championships, but you're not really beating anyone to put you in the top 10.
Nate Marquardt feels a little bit like John Fitch. Sort of you're getting through fights. And that doesn't hold you.
Yeah, and it reminds me of like before. I don't know did he get cut and brought back, or he just missed out for a while. What the fuck he's been doing? He hasn't been doing anything that I've been paying attention to. So it seems like he hasn't really changed a whole lot. So I thought he'd be much more desperate. But I know he's fighting down a weight division as well. Down at 175, I think 170 he was fighting, but I think the weight cut just killed him too much, so he's back up at 185 now. But
he could be, again, just coming towards the end of the journey.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm thinking, if there was a strike force, he'd be going across to there pretty quick.
Well, there's plenty of other smaller promotions out there, but maybe he needs to have a sit down chat with Joe Rogan and talk about his future. It could be a new service that Joe offers.
They say he'd probably get knocked out or make a fuckload of money. The fight, previous fight to that was Horiguchi versus Gordano, which was the little fucking ninjas jump around the cage.
Jeez, didn't they go off?
It reminded me of it was like me trying to watch ice hockey. I just can't follow the puck, where it is, what's going on. All I see is people moving towards an area. I guess it's there. Yeah. That was like watching this fight.
Yeah, need to watch the replay on that one again. Just so we can pause and rewind just a few times.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that I mentioned on Twitter is I think for the 155s and unders they should all be 5 rounds, just mandatory for 5 rounds, because these guys they're fucking ninjas. You know what I mean? A 3-round fight just doesn't seem enough for them. Like they don't get to display their full skill set because you don't have that benefit of having fatigue set in, or because of that quick. There's so much ducking and weaving, and it's effective, so you don't see a lot of contact.
Yeah, it would be something good to watch. 'Cause, there's a lot of fights in the other, especially towards the heavier divisions, where by the end of round 3 they're like, let's just get to the end, and then you see only the championships that go for the 5 rounds. I think those guys could do 5 rounds for the whole career. I don't think it'll be an issue.
I think they'd have no worries, and plus, I think a lot of times you don't see a whole lot of knockouts in those ones, but you'll see really slick submissions, slick submissions, and you'll see them early when they're sweaty, but you haven't had a chance to see someone pull out, like getting beat the fuck out of, and then pulling out that slick submission towards the end of the fight when they're worn out, because they don't get worn out. Yeah. So you'll never see like a Anderson Chael or anything like that, where a fighter's been dominated for a while and then pulled out a submission in the 5th.
Yeah.
And now that I've said that, I'm sure someone will post a video or something of happened in last week or something.
But speaking, if we go back to the main event, maybe that was some of the difference in that fight as well, because I think this is Jones' 9th 5-round fight in a row, whereas DC's only fought once or twice before, something like that. So I mean that added into that matchup as well. But no, it's good to see more of the little guys. Again, it's becoming another stacked division. And they're good fights to watch.
I think they're excellent in regards to entertainment, and also seeing a different skill set than what you're not used to, because they just do shit that you just don't know used to seeing people do.
And you like to see the throttles going at full speed all the time, and just attack.
And it seems to be a much more sort of consistent spread of talent across, let's say, the top 15, as opposed to other weight categories which have a far like sort of steeper decline in ability when it comes to
the top 5.
Some
of them.
You look at the heavyweight division, and I mean, I don't really know who's going to beat Kane.
No one is.
And I mean,
not for a while.
If we had it our way, you'd pretty much just watch Kane versus JDS for a couple more times.
I'm happy to watch it.
The worst thing is I really like JDS, and the dude just doesn't go down.
Yeah.
He's just got that good a chin on him, and it's just not good for him to have that good a chin.
Yeah, he's going to get himself in trouble soon.
And it seemed like with his last fight against who was it? Wasn't Stark Mocic, was it? No, another Croatian fella. Can't remember. No, maybe it was Stipe Miocic. Yeah, it was a really good fight, really close too.
Yeah.
And even then, he got a bit of a touching up, and I thought he would have gone a bit better. Even though Stipe is apparently a accredited boxer, like he's had some sort of titles and stuff. But still, he didn't look as crisp and sharp. So I think those two beatings have had a bit of an effect on his speed and ability.
And he's just he's a little bit in the wrong era. I mean, if he's in any other era, he'd be, the champion for ages. Yeah. But he's got one win over Kane. So
and it was a big one. It was the first ever card on Fox.
Yeah, the first on live TV, and it ended far too quick for the UFC's liking.
Yep, don't be happy about that. But well, if you don't like it, jump in there yourself and have a crack.
Yeah. So they're all unanimous decisions on the main card.
Yeah, the last one, which was Lombard versus Berkman, and that fight was
what you expected.
It wasn't what I expected. The result was what I expected. I expected to be a one-sided fight in Lombard's way, but I was actually really impressed with how Lombard, not the way he fought, but the way he didn't fight, if that makes sense.
How so?
Because he's usually very aggressive, and you've seen him be a bit impatient and get a bit frustrated when he can't just, bum rush people, you know what I mean? But this one, Berkman did a real clever thing where he'd do a push punch off the cage, if that makes sense. Where he's on his back to the cage, and that's where Hector's been deadly in his last fights, where he puts people against the cage and then he can get grips to throw to the ground, or then he starts boxing inside, and it doesn't matter if you block one of those punches, it still hurts. Yeah. And so Berkman did that a couple of times where he just pushed off the fence and threw almost like a Superman punch, and none of them landed, but it put enough doubt into Hector's mind that when he's against the fence, he's like not sure whether he can just go full out attack. And I think it was a credit to Lombard on being able to resist that urge just to go full out and maybe cop one and lose. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and being able to adapt as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
Do that. I can do what I usually do here, but I might have to keep the hands up just a little bit longer just in case.
Yeah.
You don't want to see something flying through.
Well, there was one point where Berkman had his hands down by his side and was sort of against the fence. And Lombard was like, well, I don't need to come to you, I'm winning this fight. You can stand and put your hands down, but at the end of the day, you got to knock me out, not the other way around.
Yeah. Once you got the points on the board.
Yeah, so it seemed like a much more smarter Lombard that came out to fight. And
that's good, because I mean he's been around for a while now, Lombard.
Yeah, he has.
Even been around the UFC for a while.
Yeah,
it'd be good to see him making a real charge to try and crack in.
And Josh Berkman, on the other hand, so he's done his first fight back in the UFC after being cut, and it wasn't impressive at all. I don't know if he's had a bit of ring rust or what it was, but it seemed like he did a very good job on convincing Lombard that he wasn't fucked. For after halfway through the first round, because he was knackered. He couldn't do shit.
Well, I mean, he's fighting, one of the scariest beasts in that division.
He is an absolute machine. If you look at him, it looks like the He-Man dolls used to play with when you're little. That's what it looks like. He's that ripped.
Yeah, it's been said about him for his whole career. He looks like he belongs in the weight division above.
Yeah, and I'm sure his post-fight interview was interesting, but I understand a fucking word he said. I had no idea what he said.
Yeah, hopefully he gets another chance anyway.
Well, you'd be thinking with Lombard, I mean, he's got that Australian connection. I think we've already claimed him as Australian. I'm pretty sure that's already been passed.
I think he does have citizenship.
Oh, okay. Well, if he doesn't, then it's probably just waiting for him when he gets here next time. And so I'll be really, really surprised if we didn't see... I'd like to see him fight Tyron Woodley. That would be an awesome fight.
Yep.
If not, I'd like to see him fight for the title what Eddie had when they do the opening.
193.
193, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's UFC 193. I mean, that's November. So that's 11 months away. He's probably at that decision. Like, do you have a fight in between?
Yeah.
Maybe he does, but he's. I don't think he got a medical suspension after this fight. So
no, I'd be surprised if he did.
Yeah. So he's probably going to have a couple of weeks off and then just see where he's at and decide where the next fight is.
Yeah, and I suppose it'll depend on Dana and what he's got planned for that division as well, because I mean it's not really an easy division to get fights in these days because it's pretty high, top end loaded with good fighters, and you haven't had anyone. Well,
Robbie Lawler, they've already flagged to fight Hendricks for the third one.
Yeah.
And then you've got Hector Lombard sitting outside those two. So he's probably one more fight away?
I would think so, yeah. And I think it'll have a lot to do with timing. It seems like he needed to fight maybe a couple of months ago or a couple of months in the future.
I like to see him fight, a Woodley in, let's say, April, May.
Yeah, well,
May.
And the thing is, in the title picture, that would kind of make sense. But you've got Rory McDonald in there as well, who just destroyed Woodley. So it seems like you'd have to have maybe.
Well, how about Rory and Hector for number one, and then winner faces off down at Etihad Stadium in November against Robbie or Hendricks.
That would make sense.
That's a good headline card.
Bloody oath. And that makes sense to me. The only thing is that, and Rory's been hanging out and promised that title fight for I think the last couple of fights now, but what can you do? So kind of feel sorry that he probably does deserve next shot and not fight across the middle, but
straight off. But
what can you do?
What can you do?
That's the nature of the beast, and at the end of the day, you're paid to be a fighter, so
And at that end, they're paid well.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure Rory doesn't struggle since any Canadian that's up there with a chance, they sell out those stadiums up in Canada. So I wouldn't feel too sorry for him.
Okay, so that's the main card. There's a couple of nice knockouts on the undercard.
Yeah, there was. Well, there was two nice knockouts, and the first one we went to the real heavyweights, the ones who got a cut to make heavyweight. We had Sean Jordan, who knocked out Jared Cannonier.
Interesting knockout.
It was an interesting knockout. It seems like, you can't really tell unless you've been in that situation, but it seemed like just a glancing one, but in that spot behind the ear, and
sort of
down he went. But
I think even Jordan was a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he's down. Is he all right?
Yeah, and then he did a backflip after that.
I've seen him do the backflip before.
That was pretty crazy.
To be honest, he's done better backflips.
Yeah.
This one is a little bit out.
Yeah, I'm still impressed that anyone that size can do a backflip.
Yeah, it's not a bad effort at all. On that, again, I'm going back to the main event. John Jones does his one-handed cartwheel into the ring.
Yeah.
Not really that impressive.
No, not really.
I think just jog on.
Yeah, just get in there.
Anyway, back to Sean Jordan's knockout, TKO win. Got the job done.
That was about it. It wasn't. The fight didn't go for that long, but it was never going to be a skillful fight.
No, at least they got a highlight out of it.
Yeah, it was going to be a toe-to-toe, and if there had been any result in the main card, that one probably would have got stuck in there as a filler along with the Paul Felder fight. Yeah,
it's almost a shame for him that he didn't, to get the sponsors bump.
Yeah, which brings on to the other knockout, which actually got performance of the night as well, along with Sean Jordan. On that note, it's kind of funny that two cards on the undercard got performance of the night.
Yeah.
But Paul Felder versus Danny Castillo. Apparently, Paul Felder was supposed to fight someone else on the undercard, but then Danny Castillo's opponent dropped out, and so he jumped up to fight that one. That's what I heard anyway. But Paul Felder looked ridiculously good standing up. He's just so tight and technical, and you couldn't really fault a lot of what he did.
And we thought we were going to see some spinning back fists on this card, and we did. Just not where we thought they were coming from.
No.
And I don't think he saw it land either.
No. I can't remember. I think it was Berkman might have had the best missed spinning back fist. It was a 720 spinning back fist, and then on the ground. It was awesome how excited he was to do that one. It just didn't hit shit.
It was like that, the guy, the meme going around, the big ultra heavyweight going for the Superman punch off the cage and didn't quite make it, but he went for it. It sounds like a bit the same for Berkman.
Like the guy who does that front roll kick, whatever the fuck you call it. He's nowhere near his opponent. But then Felder, and they were saying his background was Taekwondo and Muay Thai. So he's very quick with his hands and feet and very well adapting to different positions. And he's got caught out of position with his back facing. Who's he fighting? Danny Castillo. And just at that moment, just made that split decision to just throw that back fist and landed it clean.
Hit the home run.
Yeah, you can't really do it much better than that, especially where on the hand and wrist where it hit. It's just perfect.
And it wasn't a knockdown. Let's let's get in there and finish it. It was lights out.
It was a knockdown taxidermied style one. It was just, he was stiff as a board, not going anywhere.
And he was happy about it too. But geez, the ref did a lot of work to get in there.
I reckon. You see, I think it was Eve Levine or something like that. Dived in for the bleachers, more or less.
Yeah, he had to go for the second dive just to make sure.
Yeah. So to be honest, I think Paul Felder was the most impressive on the whole entire card. I think for me, he was the one that that you're just like, wow, that's a fight. That was really impressive.
And hopefully made a big enough show to get up the card for the next fight wherever he ends up.
Yeah, and that really sticks Danny Castillo in no man's land as well. I don't really know what you're gonna do with him next. Yeah,
I don't think he drops out of mind for this one, but he certainly doesn't move up.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to have to win another fight like that one.
Yeah, and speaking of sort of in no man's land, we had Evan Dunham versus Rodrigo Dam, who Rodrigo was on the Brazilian Ultimate Fighter, and he came in with good jiu-jitsu credentials. Not that you would know from the fight, because I did not see him even pretend to know jiu-jitsu.
Well, Dunham's a black belt as well, so he's got a nice pedigree. But wouldn't have mind if they decided to put their belts against each other.
Yeah.
But didn't happen.
Especially after Dunham's just touched him up for 2.5 rounds. So then it seemed like Rodrigo Dam decided he's going to beat himself up for a couple of seconds as well.
Yeah, why
started
not?
Laying to his own face. And
well, I mean, if it's the only good punches you're going to get in.
Yeah. But I always find it funny when the person who's getting the shit kicked out of him tries to goad the other person into starting the fight. And it's like they've been fighting, dude. Where have you been? What have you been watching?
They started 2.5 rounds ago.
Yeah. How about you come in and you just you start swinging some punches, pretend you know what you're doing. And for the other card, the other fight was Cody Garbrandt versus Marcus Brimage. And, I mean, Cody Garbrandt ended up knocking him out at the end, but it was a pretty one-sided fight. Brimage didn't really have a lot. And I was surprised at how much of a size disadvantage there was. I thought Brimage was a bit bigger than that, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit of a shame there too, because I don't mind Brimage and the way he goes about it, but not tonight.
No, and to be honest, I didn't see the first two
the Facebook
fight and the fight pass now, but apparently the Marion Renault versus Alexis de Fresnay was just an absolute sham of a fight.
I mean, the divisions are still very young, so we're still trying to get enough contenders in there, and
and I'm sure it makes me feel glad that Gabby Garcia fight didn't go ahead, because otherwise this probably would have been the second most lopsided fight ever for the women. And the other fight was Amari Akhmedov versus Mats Nilsson, and obviously Akhmedov won because his last name's Akhmedov, and we haven't seen much of the Russians do shit this year.
Well, I mean, his first card of the year, but you mean recently?
Oh yeah, recently.
That old chestnut.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So an underwhelming start to the year for the UFC.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the main fight, which they sold everything on, they've set themselves up. So, I mean, you've probably got another fight out of John Jones at 205 in there. So, it's not all lost. And Cormier, it's hard what you do with him, because he's definitely really, really good. But
like I said, I'd watch a rematch, but he didn't earn one.
Yeah, for me, like the way I looked at it, I thought if these guys fight 10 times, Jones wins 8-9 times out of 10.
It feels like that. Originally this was meant to be the rematch with Gustafsson anyway. At least he stood up and took the fight.
Yeah,
then it became one that everyone wanted to see.
That's right. It wasn't going to be Gustafsson. There was going to be a rematch with Vitor. And all that sort of business happened.
I think Cormier is probably going to have to wait a little bit longer for the next one, or he goes back to heavyweight. I don't think he wants to go back to heavyweight.
No, I don't think so, only because it's only so far he can go, because he's not going to fight Kane, full stop.
Yep.
So it seems like he has to stay there.
And I don't think the belt's going to move off Kane for a while.
No, and that's what I was saying with him versus Jones. I thought if he's going to win one, it'll be this one, and then Jones win the rematch, get the belt back, because he'll learn his lessons, but he didn't need to. I don't see Jones putting in a worse performance next time, if that makes sense.
Yep. No, I agree.
So if that wasn't good enough to get across the line, I don't see another rematch being any different.
So that's the first UFC pay-per-view for the year out of the way. Fortnight's time, we've got our favourite Connor versus Siver fighting over in Europe land.
That's right. He's fighting. It's going to be in Ireland, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not at all. Sorry,
Isn't it?
It's in Boston, which is part of Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Boston's half Ireland.
Yeah. So it's way more south of Mayo County or somewhere.
Interesting fight. Do you see Siver getting close?
Well, not really. I think Siver definitely has potential, but his last couple of fights haven't really been impressed. I think he had a little bit of a run there where he was really sort of making ways for himself, but he sort of stalled a bit.
He stopped George Sideropoulos from making a real charge at the belt, and that's probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's been there and thereabouts since then, but you feel like it's he's now a bit of a gatekeeper.
I definitely agree with that. It seems that at one point he had the skills there, but the people around him have just got so much better, and he just can't keep up with them. I don't think, but he's definitely one that's going to put on a hard fight, and he can win any fight he's in because he's got the ability to knock anyone out. There's no doubt about that. But I can't remember what his background is. He might be a judoka or something like that, or no, kickboxing, or no, I can't remember. But you just look at the dude, and he's fucking huge.
There's a lot of muscle packed into a very small frame.
Yeah,
but I think especially the UFC wants Conor to win this one because he's turning himself into a superstar, and they want him to win this and probably one more before he starts looking at some big title fights.
Yeah, well, I think if he wins this one, then he'll be fighting Jose Aldo. Full stop. I think Dana was pretty excited to do it ASAP, but they see the value in having one more fight and really getting to ramp it up because you can always book a fight on talk, but I think we saw what happened with Chael there. It's just
sometimes it's
all sort of backfired, and you can never really be too sure what the other people are doing. So with Conor, I think you want to make sure that he's definitely not just a bit of talk and he can back it up, and I think we'll find that there's no doubt in that.
So you pick Conor?
Yeah, I pick Conor for him. Yeah.
Not a bad card either. I think probably the better fight would be Benson Henderson and Eddie Alvarez.
Oh, that'll be an awesome fight.
Yeah.
And I think Alvarez definitely has a great resume, and Benson, he's one that he's had a couple of losses and he needs to regain that form that saw him get the title. Yeah,
he looked unbeatable for a while there.
He did.
Until he lost, convincingly back to back. But this is a chance for him to, get back on the winning track and stamp himself as a headline pay-per-view worthy fighter.
Yeah, and the thing is, what worries me with him in that division is that he got out smoothed by Showtime when he got armbarred, and he pretty much Showtime did to him what Benson does to other people, and he did it better than what Benson does.
Yeah, and did it well. That there was obviously with an armbar tapped out. Was it even round one?
Yeah, sure.
There's no two ways. You got beaten.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a humbling experience, especially for somebody that's dominated with his wrestling.
Yeah.
But it'd be good to see how he can come back now and hopefully stake a claim that he wants to be a contender again.
Yeah, and you can just see by him that he's definitely got the dedication to get back to that point. There's no two ways about that.
He's a competitor and he loves to win. Looks like it doesn't matter what it's at. He wants to win. Otherwise, we're going to see him probably go off and Meta Morris and those kind of things.
Which would be pretty cool, man. Have you seen the size of his thighs?
Yeah,
they are fucking huge, man. Imagine having those fucking in guard.
And the other fight, which is a little bit disappointing, was going to be Philippou and Uriah Hall.
Oh, that's right.
But Philippou's pulled out.
Yeah.
So Uriah's got Lewis Taylor.
I think Uriah's already apologised as well to everybody for the fight not working out.
For the fight not working out. We need to see something from him, don't we?
Yeah.
We've seen him roundhouse kick a punching bag at an arcade, which is, that's lovely. But if you notice, he didn't even get the record. In that, we need to see something from him. One of the most hyped fighters ever coming out of the Ultimate Fighter house.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen it from him.
And it seems like he's just too nice of a guy. He seems way too nice.
I don't know, too nice or just too confident. I don't know, that comfortable confidence that he knows he's good, but he hasn't shown it yet. Yeah,
he's got all the talent that's necessary, or the potential that's necessary, but he just doesn't seem like he has that killer inside him. He just doesn't seem like ruthless enough.
And I know we've spoken about it before. It's a little bit of the same with Jonathan Brookins. Had all the tools, but again, lacking that killer instinct. But you want to see it from Uriah. Because, those knockouts in the house are still some of the best knockouts we've ever seen under the UFC banner.
And on the flip side of that, it seems like John Jones has that sort of conflict inside himself where he has that killer inside him and he's not comfortable with being a killer like that, where he tries to want to be perceived as a nice person. It's like, dude, you're a fucking fighter and you're good at it. Like, it's all right to be angry and it's all right to act like a bit of an asshole because you knock motherfuckers out for a living. That's what you do.
That's what you do.
And you do it well.
And you're going to say, there's not many people on the face of the planet that do it as well as you do.
That's it. So I think, that's the two sides of that coin.
No, on that with Jones, I don't buy into that hype, the hate, I should say. I want to see him fight. At the same time, I wanted DC to win this one just to see that John Jones was beatable. Yeah,
exactly.
But he didn't.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's beatable.
Yeah, me too. Because what really not concerned me, but I thought, oh shit, is that if DC doesn't win, and like I said at the start, who's going to try to heavyweight?
I mean, and Dana White said it in the post match as well. Anytime that you start to think there are no more contenders, somebody pops up. Because I mean, Anderson Silva felt this way for a long, long time. And then Chael came in and scared him, and we thought, oh, there's somebody. And then he dispatched him. And then Weidman came along and beat him twice. It's just the way it happens. So hopefully somebody else can come up and challenge.
Well, that's it. And the thing is, with Anderson, there was a long period where no one really did challenge him for ages.
No, we started doing dance moves.
Fuck around for a while, and try and make up some other reason why he had to make a fight last longer than the first round.
And GSP was a little bit different, but on the same token, it was just who's going to beat him. I remember going to that Koscheck fight. We thought maybe Koscheck can do something, but it was just embarrassing. It was 5 rounds that didn't have him.
5 rounds of getting jabbed to death. That's it.
And then Hendricks, you can make an argument that Hendricks could have won that fight, but George, by all accounts, a lot of outside the ring issues, as well as I think the tolls are starting to to add up.
I think he's starting to not get punch drunk, but get a little bit of confusion, if that makes sense. Where the little things don't start adding up, and getting abducted by aliens and stuff like that. That's the stuff.
You start to worry,
and that's the thing where it's time's gone missing, and you don't know where that time's gone, and the only thing you can associate it with is aliens. Yeah, it's like common sense would tell you maybe getting punched in the face probably did it.
Again, sit down and have a chat to old Uncle Joe. Maybe it's time to ride off into the sunset.
And that's it. You can see Joe getting fired by the UFC real quick.
Get all their top fighters
retired, everyone.
Oh well, I'm sure there's going to be 90% of them won't listen.
And I mean, the older I've got, the more I've realised that Joe Rogan knows a thing or two about life.
Exactly. And especially when it comes to the fighting game, you might want to listen.
And that's the other thing about Joe is that what kind of annoys me is that he still play a bit coy about the fighting game, where he's like, I've never fought or anything, and I think he's at that point now where you're allowed to call yourself an expert.
Absolutely.
There's not anyone who's seen, he says only Joe Silver's the only person that's seen more mixed martial arts fights than him on the planet.
Oh, I reckon Henzo.
Oh yeah, probably Henzo. And I just wish Joe wouldn't be so hesitant to call himself, or just say, "Look, I'm an expert at this shit. I know what I'm talking about."
Well, with the sit down with Shaw, I think it's different because it's a friend.
But it's not only that instance, but I've heard it quite a bit. But I think at that point, it's okay to call yourself an expert now because you are.
Well, I mean, he's a martial artist, and with that comes a modicum of modesty. And I think that comes out. And he's talking to guys that have actually done it at the highest level. But anyway, that's how it goes. And that leads us to the next UFC pay-per-view, which is 183, which is headlined with the return of Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz. So the return of both. All I can say is I hope Nick Diaz puts up a better show than Nate.
Yeah, I hope he trains and shows up and
actually looks like he wants to fight. Because I mean, you're fighting Anderson Silva. I mean, he's not going to make it an easy night for it.
You don't really see Anderson do decisions. See, you get knocked the fuck out, or you can knock him out.
Now, just do you give Nick a chance?
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. No.
I agree with you. I want him to see him actually look like he wants to be there. Unlike Nate. And not just punching a time clock.
Yeah. I think Nick will definitely give him everything he has, but I just think Nick's usual way of winning, where he just punches in bunches, you fight a counter puncher. So that's exactly what he wants you to do. You start doing that, sweet.
Do you think we're going to see Silva with the hands down, dodging with the head again? Yeah, you reckon that's just the way he is?
I think that's just Anderson Silva.
Yeah, good.
That's just the way it is. And the thing is, it's worked for him this far. I mean, like you said before, when it works, he's a genius. When it doesn't, he's an idiot. Got knocked out with his hands by his side.
It'll be interesting. The first leg kick gets thrown if Nick checks it. How Anderson's going to do?
Yeah. I think we'll see Anderson throwing a lot more head kicks than leg kicks.
Yeah, I mean, will he be confident enough to throw? But at the end of the day, it's what he does best.
Yeah, and I think if Nick's really serious, he's got to try and get him to the ground. But we've seen how that sort of works.
He's the spider.
Yeah. It's more harder than what it looks like, and the advantages that Nick enjoys over people in his division he won't have over Anderson, so that'll make it a lot harder. He won't have a jab that creates space for him because it's going to put him in the firing line of Anderson. That's where he wants to that jab range.
And I think Misha Tate's on that card as well. Which,
Misha, who's she fighting? Someone, Kaufman, is it?
I think it is.
That should be a cracker.
Yeah, but at the same time, you feel like she's the JDS of her division.
Yep, very much.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, lovely girl, man. Love hearing her. Love watching her fight.
Yep.
Learning about her. She's just not going to beat Ronda. She's not going to beat Ronda.
Nope, second best in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always going to be hard, but I'd love to see a case for Ronda fighting a couple of guys. You know what I mean? Because I reckon she'll be able to fuck a couple of them up, man.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to get a guy to agree to fight a girl ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? Actually, no. There'll be some people do it for the right purse, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a couple who've done it in amateur.
I'm sure it's in Brazil. And
well, Rampage Jackson's been signed back, maybe.
Yeah, and that's what are you going to do with him?
Yeah, very interesting. I got to admit, caught me by surprise.
Yeah,
when UFC announced they've re-signed Rampage,
and I've noticed the UFC have made a little habit of making announcements during their Fox broadcast.
Yep,
kind of reminds me of the Fox News will have their breaking or their fire alert or whatever the fuck it is. Their news alert, red alert, whatever it is. And it seems like they're making a habit of it.
I tell you what, if they sign somebody during a car chase, I think we know they've gone full retard.
Well, they have that chance of Rampage, but but the thing is, none of the announcements have been worthy of this whole build up and oh my god, really?
Well, I don't know. CM Punk was big.
I guess being in Australia where pro wrestling isn't huge,
isn't as big. Yeah. But you can see that it's it's been a month now. Really, and it's still being talked about. And everybody has had their say about it. So you got to say, okay.
And he doesn't have a fight booked.
No, exactly.
He's only just chosen when he's going to train, and that's huge news.
Which is just phenomenal. How far out they've called the shots on this one. But,
exactly.
I mean, in the way things are now, you can't keep a secret that long.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It is amazing that they got to announce it. But Rampage coming back. Got no idea who he's going to come back to fight.
No.
I can't see him going into title contention.
No, I don't think he'll ever be in title contention. I don't think I'm not sure if even he's interested in that. I think he's more about putting on payday showcases.
Yeah. I mean, he can still sell a card.
I'd love to see him versus Glover Teixeira. That'd be a great fight.
Yeah. But
it'd just be a stand-up kind of war.
Yeah.
But with the same idea with him versus King Mo, which kind of turned out a bit of a farce, but whatever.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
There's not really a whole lot you can do with him. And the thing about Rampage is he wants to stand up and just trade gloves, but he's a wrestler. You know what I mean? He's wrestled in college, knows his background, and I think
remember back especially in the Pride days and early UFC, he was known as the guy that is going to slam you.
Yeah, exactly.
When was the last time we saw a slam from?
No, we saw him almost slam somebody.
Machida,
He jumped up out of it. But not for ages.
Yeah, Machida jumped out, and even though that Rampage won that as a controversial decision, I didn't see any controversy in it. I thought he won 2 rounds.
Yeah, so did I.
But it'd be interesting to see who's going to fight. But when he left the UFC last time, he said that he was getting bad fights. You know, they're putting him against grapplers and that kind of stuff. So it'd be interesting if what was said behind closed doors before he signed this one.
I think the only way he'd come back, I think he knows he's not in title contention, and what the work's going to take to get in title contention.
We're not going to see him fight John Jones again.
Yeah, and so I think he'd be happy fighting just the people that he wants to fight for big events because he knows how to sell a card, he knows how to sell a fight. And put him in the Ultimate Fighter, I'll watch it because he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's a horrible coach, but he's good to watch.
I mean, he's better than Frank Shamrock, but
but just
it was a Was it Frank Shamrock who didn't even have a jiu-jitsu coach?
Yeah, I think so.
He was like,
yeah.
fuck it. What's jiu-jitsu? Nah, fuck that.
In the season with coach against Tito, Tito's guys are doing 2 days and 3 days, and, and Shamrock's going out to the driving range.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to relax, guys. I'm like, yeah, we're fucking relaxed. Falling asleep. But yeah, anyway, it's bizarre. The only thing I can think of is, again, UFC signing everyone because they've got the bank to do it. And you're just stopping any competitors to try and get a leg up. Having said that,
I think it's just restricting the competitors' market share because it's not going to grow the UFC's market share, but put that on the other people's roster, it could make a difference to them.
But I mean, the other people's roster has had him for a little while now, and it didn't really make waves.
Well, yeah, that's what I would have thought as well. But I mean, maybe must have some plan, or maybe they're really trying to starve everyone else and.
Maybe they want him in the back rooms, But I don't understand why. But yeah, that's what I mean.
The only thing I can think of is that he's a personality that is very, very entertaining, and so there could be more to it.
He's still,
maybe another Ultimate Fighter gig, but I mean,
I don't know. If I was rocking up to the next Ultimate Fighter and I found out Rampage was my coach, I wouldn't be over the moon.
No, not at all.
You never know.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think they're really concerned about that. They're concerned about people watching the show.
Yeah, you still got to get people to watch, don't you? Maybe it's about time they, shook it up and did a second chance Ultimate Fighter again. Yeah. Like they did the year that Matt Serra won.
And that's the thing. Everyone, like, Matt Serra is synonymously brought up with GSP about that fight. Not only changing Matt Serra, but changing GSP. And that's all born out of the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised it's taken this long.
It was the first time they tried the second chance Ultimate Fighter, and it was a great success, I thought.
Yeah,
and they haven't done it again.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
And the thing is, now you've got more people who are more legitimate chances of having an opportunity, whereas before, like in that series, Matt Serra was going to win that. And
it felt like it early on.
Yeah.
You had no clue who was going to beat GSP, though.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like Serra was almost training the other people. More or less.
No, he was a great coach in that season, and even later on against Matt Hughes when he was coach, he was a great coach.
Yeah.
One of the best cornermen going around.
Yeah, absolutely, and his whole camp is just going crazy at the moment.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got Chris Wyman with the belt, got a few other people coming in there, and it's him and Ray Longo, I think, doing all the training there, doing an excellent job.
It's good to see because it looks like one of the nicest blokes going around. And he showed on those shows that he's got a lot up top that he can share. So it's good to see that it's been put to use and he'll have a career.
And he just seems like one of your mates.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You'd watch a fight with down the pub or something, and a couple of cold ones.
So with comebacks, the other end of it is the retirements. So we highlighted it earlier on in the show that Tim Sylvia's pulled the pin.
Yeah.
Weighed in at 370.
370.
Hang on, maybe I've got that wrong.
No, you're probably right.
No, anyway, it's about 168 kilo.
Jesus
weighed in
Christ.
And the Indian tribe that was sanctioning the fight made him do every test under the sun
really?
Before the fight happened. And the official reason why they pulled him out of the fight was there was complications in the MRI.
Okay.
But
there's probably complications fitting him inside the MRI machine.
When he stepped on the scales only went to 350. So I think they had to change the scales to get an accurate reading.
Far out.
But I mean, he's a big boy. He's 6'9" or something. But,
he's bloody huge.
And a former, UFC heavyweight champion. Once or twice.
He's been popped before as well, hasn't he?
Sorry?
Been popped before.
Yeah. And I think the reason he gave for being popped was he was trying to lose weight as well. So, there's a lot of speculation and stuff like that, but you just hope that he's doing okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my favourite Tim Sylvia moment, like most, when he shat himself inside the cage.
It's unfortunate, you shoot yourself once. I have heard that he got paid, or he banked $1 million when he fought Fedor.
Really?
And when I say banked, I mean put it away. So I hope he has put it away. I hope the rumours are true.
I mean, even if you got $1 million out of the KGB, you'd want to put it somewhere safe.
You want to make sure that somebody else has counted it first.
Yeah. I'll be happy I just got it.
So, I mean, he was heavyweight champion in the UFC at a time where the heavyweight division wasn't that well respected. But
no, but there were some absolute killers in there, just roided up to the eyeballs, and people who would seriously just kill you.
But I mean, when he was holding the belt was when Randy Couture rang up Dana and said, "I think the heavyweight division's right for the picking. I'll come back for that." And then not long after that, we had Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar and those kind of guys.
Yeah.
But, now it's legit again.
Yeah,
But sad to see him go out like this, because I think in the last 4 or 5 years he's fought at God knows how many different organisations. But weighing it at 371 and being declared medically unfit to fight is not a good way to go out.
Yeah, that's almost like unfit for life. It's like you make some serious changes.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, fighting where he's fighting, I'm pretty sure they're lenient in the medical departments.
Yeah, which is a bit amazing that, I reckoned a donkey might have replaced him.
Yeah, like in those ones, you almost need to be facing immediate death for them to say, now, can you last the fight out?
Yeah. Well, anyway, full marks to them. If they saw, they did all the tests, eyes and MRIs, and they said there's something not right. So, yeah. Anyway, hopefully he rides off into the sunset. And
yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's one for common sense, really.
Yeah. In a sport or, that isn't known for it at many times.
Yeah.
Not a sport. I shouldn't really say that, but with those reservations, there's like I say, can be dodgy at times, but it looks like it's good to see they made the right call.
And just actually taking someone's welfare ahead of the purse you're going to make.
Yeah, and let's face it, there would have been dozens there.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names, but Japan's pretty infamous for.
That we don't want to see the scrambled eggs coming out when they try and talk, 5 or 10 years down. So anyway, hopefully he makes it through. The other on the other end of the scale again, making debuts in just before Christmas, or was it just after? We saw Kron.
I think it was just before, on 23rd, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. We saw, Kron Gracie. One interesting thing on the fight in Japan, making his MMA debut, Hickson was on the poster.
Yeah.
Not often you see a corner man on the poster.
No.
But, you do what sells.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hickson gets on the poster just because Hickson.
Yeah, because Hickson.
That's it.
I'm surprised Hickson didn't actually get the win.
Yeah.
But, Kron by armbar is going to be the new saying.
I reckon they've given Hickson enough wins. 400 and whatever it did out.
But I bet he regrets ever saying that. No, he probably doesn't regret anything he's ever done.
If he had known they're going to take it seriously, he probably whacked a few more there. What? Fuck, shit.
Should have said more. Elio reckons he claimed 1,000.
Yeah.
If Hickson's got 400, I've got 1,000.
Yeah.
What'd you make of the fight? It looked like two dudes that it was a debut fight.
Yeah, it looked like a debut fight, and Kron's not like a big dude, like just generically, but for his weight division, he looked way bigger than that guy. Way bigger.
Yeah, he's put on a lot of good weight in the last. Yeah, even since he fought Aoki at Metamoris.
Yeah.
He was skinny then.
Yeah, but he's put on like MMA style weight.
Yeah,
he's been working out, but he's still got to fight 155 or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's still got even in the conditioning side of things, still got a little bit to go. I mean, he's young.
Yeah.
But it was a debut fight, and he did well.
And he's been training with Nick Diaz and that camp. Gilbert Melendez and Cesar Gracie and those guys. Well, obviously he's not training jiu-jitsu with Cesar. He's been training that with his old man. But I'm sure he will be teaching them jiu-jitsu and they'll be teaching him striking.
How it
be going.
One of the best in the world.
But I think they're in his corner as well. And, I mean, look, starting out at that weight division and trying to learn a striking type of jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense, that's a great camp to be in for someone what he needs to learn. He's not going to be a striker ever. This is not going to happen. So he needs to know enough defensive striking in order to do his jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
you know what? I hope he never tries to become a striker. Because you've seen that from, Damien Meyer and Hozier. I don't want to see it from Kron. Just do what you're good at. Having said that, when was the last time you saw somebody pull guard in an MMA fight?
I think it was Stefan Struve. And that's only because he just gets one overhook, pulls guard, and just rips an armbar or a triangle
or something. A bloke who's 6'11".
Oh, speaking of which, what about Donald Cerrone going for the omoplata.
Oh, yeah,
That was awesome.
Yeah, in the first round.
Yeah, so close.
I forgot about that because his back control was so good and worked it really well.
Did it perfect, but still, I just needed to get a bit more distance away from the body, but it defended very well as well.
Yeah, but he was going for it. Exactly. Jury defended it really well.
And you don't see someone really just go for the omoplata like he did in that situation. A lot of people give up on it very quick or try and
Matt Sarah.
Yeah, or try and transition back to into guard or armbar triangle. But no, that was really good work and stuck with it. Did everything right.
Yeah,
didn't work out at the end, but I like seeing that aspect of Cerrone.
He didn't get the finish, but he got the sweep into side.
Yeah,
he went back to a dominant position and worked from there. So, as far as I'm concerned, you can't argue with that. Hopefully, judges are smart enough to know, all right, he was in real trouble there, and he gets
exactly
the points.
You would hope that MMA is at that point where we've finally got the boxing judges up to speed with what's going on
and become MMA judges.
Yeah, but back to Kron, it seemed like he obviously he's fighting a can and it's his first fight, so he did excellent for that. But that sort of style, he always pushed forward, but his only way of creating distance or anything was putting that high knee up to feign a front kick just to create distance. And I mean, that's not going to work at all against any wrestlers.
No, but it did look very Hoist-like, didn't it?
Yeah.
From UFC, back in the early days.
Back in the day, yeah. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to see him do that. But he did pull guard intentionally to finish. And even the way he pulled guard was very slick.
Yep.
He just sort of went to fake, I think it was that high knee, and then just hooked the back of his head, and that's it in guard. And from there, like, his grip strength with his legs was ridiculous.
Yeah, kept him down, didn't he? No posture whatsoever. But I mean, it's good to see. There'd always be that want almost to show that you are well rounded. When you're going into the MMA. End of the day, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys on the planet. Show us that. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's all we want.
Yep.
Especially a debut fight, go with what works.
Yep. And the thing is, if you're going to submit people from guard, especially wrestlers, like more power to you.
Yep.
Like, if you can pull that shit off, that is going to be very impressive.
So he'll probably have a few more fights in Japan, I think, before he gets something decent over in the States. But definitely. I mean, he's got a name, and he's the son of Hickson. He'll hopefully lose that moniker pretty quickly. It's good to see everything happen that we thought would happen.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we know about that strain of the family, for lack of a better word, is that they're born fighters. There's not fighters. One backward step in them, not one bit of fear. They look forward to every single fight. That's like, yes, I get to finally fucking prove what I've been training, and like they are genuinely excited just to fight. Yeah,
it does feel like that with Kron from the outside. The goal is to get him into the UFC and get a win there, doesn't it? Like,
it does.
It's almost the way that the UFC's monopoly on the high end of mixed martial arts now is. If you came and somebody said, "Oh yeah, he's won 5 fights over in Bellator or whatever," you're like, "Yeah, but what's he done in the UFC?"
Yeah, exactly.
And Ben Askren's the great example of it. So I don't know if that's his goal. But that's what I want to see, and it's been a long time since somebody with the surname Gracie's got a win under, or never has under Zuffer.
Under Zuffer,
is that right?
I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. I remember hearing something like that, but I never bothered to look it up and verify if it was true or not. So, but I do remember hearing that. But look, I think that the way he's going to be handled, he'll definitely get into the UFC. They'll definitely give him a run there, mainly because his marketability is just ridiculous when he goes into those circles. So I think you'll find him fighting like maybe two more. Actually, they're probably not far off there.
Probably different weight divisions. Yeah, never mind.
But I think you'll see him fighting a couple more cans in the other divisions, and they'll give him a feed in the UFC, and then
give me a fight or two stateside before he looks at the big one.
Yeah.
We got the other big fight announced tonight was Showtime's got his next title defense.
Yeah.
With Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good fight. He was dominant against Diaz in his last bout.
Oh, that was excellent.
It was good to watch.
Messed him up. It was not even close.
And those, especially those, like we're saying, those leg kicks.
Yeah.
So this against Showtime Pettis, this could be an absolute kick fest.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't really seen a good crack at two sort of distance fighters. Like, we've seen a real excellent karate person versus excellent Muay Thai or Taekwondo or something like that. And so I'm really excited for this fight. I think it's going to be a cracker. I think we're going to get in this fight what we missed out on with TJ versus Henan Brow.
Yep.
I think this will be the fight that we get what we were supposed to get in that fight.
Yeah, a real good stand-up kickbox. It'd be interesting.
And when it goes to the ground, they're both slick.
Yeah,
they both know how to get it done.
So it's going to be interesting what tactics they both bring into that one.
Yeah.
Announced for UFC 185, which should be fantastic. It's a headline, a great headline for that card.
Yeah, and I mean, Showtime's just his sort of his starness is on the rise.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, he's really creating for lack of a better word, a legacy. Not necessarily, not only in the cage, but outside the cage.
He's had a highlight reel. And now he's added credentials to it and become legit. And obviously, once you put that gold around your waist, you are legit.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting now if he can create a legacy behind it.
Yeah. And speaking of which, he bought his old girl a house and a car for Christmas.
Not a bad effort.
Yeah. So I mean, he's another guy where it's pretty hard to dislike him.
Yeah.
Because he does. He won't talk heaps smack, but he'll talk smack. But he'll back up everything he says.
Yeah.
So until you can't back it up, then it's pretty hard to hold that against someone.
Yep. Okay, so I mean that's most of what I got down for the MMA. But one more thing I want to talk about with Kron. Obviously, he's left, not left, but gone to MMA from competitive jiu-jitsu. Yep. We've seen another high-level jiu-jitsu player in Michelle Nicolini say very recently that she's sick of fighting for medals. Essentially,
really?
Wants to see more professional jiu-jitsu tournaments out there or promotions.
Yep.
But does that mean that you get the feeling that she doesn't want to go to MMA? She wants to fight jiu-jitsu, and she wants to be paid to fight jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's a bit catch-22, isn't it?
It is,
because you've got to get the people that want to watch it and pay to watch it first before you get people that will pay you to do it.
Yep.
We've got things like Meta Morris and those rocking up, but they still have that fly-by-night feel, and they're not regular.
No one's nailed the format for a jiu-jitsu standalone main event pay-per-view at the moment.
So it's still, is that our next option is, well, you got to put the gloves on then.
Yeah.
Obviously that's what Kron's done. We've seen that Gary Tonin has spoken about it. Keenan Cornelius has spoken about it. Whether they make that jump will be the next thing.
I think we're seeing sort of what Hickson was talking about, where he's saying that he feels jiu-jitsu's lost its effectiveness.
Yeah.
Where you don't see the out-and-out jiu-jitsu people adapting that style to that mixed martial arts game.
Yeah.
At the moment.
That's what you go back to Eddie Bravo's been trying to do, and that's what he saw. He's been preaching that for quite a number of years, and a lot of the traditionalists have gone, shut up, pothead.
Yeah.
Until he, took it up to Hoyler. And I thought, added a little credentials to what he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if many people want to say that Hickson's saying the same thing as Eddie, but they are.
But he is, exactly.
There's that great video of Eddie trying to show Hickson the
rubber guard,
and Hickson not being all that receptive to
Hickson
it. But he's Hickson.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you must be so nervous showing Kron Gracie the shit you've created.
I think about jiu-jitsu. It's like, yeah, bitch.
Yeah. It's like trying to preach the Bible to God, more or less.
Yeah.
Well, my interpretation of it is like this, really.
Yeah. But full marks to both of them. I think they've both got jiu-jitsu top of mind, and they want to push it.
Hickson did invite him to be one of the Jedi Knights of his
of the
Jedi
Federation.
Council,
which I think says a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the direction you need to go. Get people like that on that board.
Yeah, and he's got no personal gripes against him or anything like that. And like I said, they both want the best for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But it is. I thought very interesting that somebody like Michelle Nicolini coming out and saying, we're tired of fighting for medals.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can find a happy medium. Otherwise, you don't want to see your best guys always going off and putting on the gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, you'd love to see somebody like a Kron go and show, hey guys, this is mixed martial arts. Jiu-jitsu still works.
That's it. And like everyone always says, the problem with it is time. That's the enemy of jiu-jitsu is time. So that's what makes it so difficult. But if you can nail that format in that time limit,
you can nail that 5-minute round.
And it's certainly possible to do that within the frame of what jiu-jitsu offers a fight.
Yep.
It's just a matter of the right person being able to pull it off.
Yeah, and unfortunately it wasn't Hoja, or Hoja was too late, or didn't want to, go in the heavy enough division. It didn't work out as we hoped it would. So Kron's the next great hope.
And by all accounts, Hozier wasn't the most dedicated at training.
I've heard stories. He likes to stand off, but he's Hozier.
Exactly, that's it.
At the same time,
and the fight game's just gone past that sort of. Doesn't matter if you're born into the fighting family, you've still got to put in the extra effort in order to compete with these people because they are putting that effort.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't just rock up and be the best in the world anymore.
And we're not going to get that with a Kron. I cannot see how that was going to happen. Where Hickson would not let him just do that as a half-assed attempt. This is your life. You're the fucking warrior, or keep going skating.
Yeah, or go surfing or whatever. Yeah. All right, so that's the first UFC card done for the year. Hopefully the next is a little bit better.
Hopefully a few more exciting fights that we can really get stuck into.
Yeah.
We struggled with this one, a few fights are good and the rest of them were just not events.
I think, especially the main card had a couple of drawn-out fights that really left you flat going into. Cowboy put on a good show. But again, that was the only other thing I wanted to mention about this card was there 10 decisions on the fight, all unanimous, which was no controversy in any fight. So at least we have that. Yeah,
the only bad thing was that cut short their allowance with the pay-per-view time, so you didn't really get to hear John Jones speak too much about the fight.
Not at all.
Like, we're going to wrap it up. The pay-per-view's about to end. Like, motherfuckers, we're paying for this shit, man. It's on network TV.
Yeah, we can hear him talk plenty of time.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I got a presser.
And he had plenty of chance to sell more Reebok t-shirts.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, that'll do us, I think.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks, guys.